Let's now catch up with One Nation leader Pauline Hanson. He joins me from scenic Rim in Queensland. Good to talk to you again, Pauline. Looking forward to the year ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think it's going to be a robust year, Chris, coming into the Queensland state elections in October, followed by the federal elections. Yes.
No, exactly. Well, the Prime Minister's kicked it off in startling fashion with this broken promise. Have a look at this latest ad from the Libs, ripping them a new one.
There will be no carbon tax under the government I lead.
They've been legislated. We support them. We stand by that.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You've seen a lot of prime ministers and leaders come and go, Pauline, in the last couple of decades. What does this do to Anthony Albanese's standing? Does the electorate forgive him for this and move on, or will he never get past it?
For a man who stated on many a time, my word is my bond, and we've clearly heard from him prior to it, the tax cuts will stand. We won't change them. You will get a $275 a year tax reduction in your electricity bill. We won't touch your superannuation. Again, it's been touched. You know, the voice. Okay, I'll accept what the people say about the voice, how they vote. All legislation, you know, a majority of it, has got some part of the voice in it where it's handing back to the Aboriginal people. So Anthony Albanese is not a man of his word. He is the leader of this nation, the Prime Minister of this nation. If we cannot trust him, that his word is actually his bond, he's lost the trust of the Australian people to be leader of this nation. So no, I don't trust him. I don't trust Labor. I don't believe what they've done. And what they're doing now is putting a spin on it and blaming the coalition for not supporting the tax cuts. If the coalition, and I'll have to support the tax cuts, what they've changed it to. If we don't support it, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Although it is a broken promise, you can't, allow those Australians that are struggling to get those tax cuts. So it's important that we do support it.
So you'll back Albanese's tax cuts. So he's got your vote, no worries.
Chris, I have to, because like I said, you don't crucify all Australians who are struggling and need these tax cuts, which is important to the Australian people. But I want people to remember what Anthony Albanese, the Labor Party and the Greens have done with regards to these tax cuts that were passed in Parliament and they were put in place. So he is a man who can't keep his word. He's lied to the Australian people, and I hope they remember that come the next election.
But Pauline, tax cuts are already legislated. Surely if Labor doesn't get their new bill through, those already legislated tax cuts still come into play on July the 1st? Or the legislation doesn't work that way?
They do, but they're going to, but Chris, they're going to get the support of the Greens, who want them to cut back a bit harder on it. They've got the support of David Pocock. I have no doubt they've got the support of David Pocock and Jacqui Lambie. So therefore, they've got the numbers.
Yeah.
Why it's not in Liberals' interest to knock it back. Well, like I said, you've got to support the Australian people with what you possibly can.
Well, better that than the Greens making it even worse, I suppose. So we'll watch those machinations play out when Parliament gets back next week. Now, something I just wanted to get your thoughts on, because I know it's a passion of yours, that's population policy and immigration. I think most people in this country recognise that our immigration is out of control now. Record immigration, over 600,000 people last year. Can you imagine? We added more than Tasmania last year. And respected economist Leith Van Onselen has said today, I'll have him on the show tomorrow night, but he said today that if you took immigration out of our economy, we're actually in recession. It's the only thing sort of propping up the Ponzi scheme. Your thoughts?
That's correct, Chris. Absolutely correct there. So we're bringing in more migrants, the money they bring into the country, so therefore it creates, it props up our gross domestic product. Productivity is down in the nation, and we are on borderline, I believe, of a recession. It's only immigration that's propping us up. but the general populace are the ones suffering because of this, because we haven't kept up with it. We now reached 27 million people last week. Now, that's about 30 years ahead of prediction, but we haven't had the policies in place to provide the infrastructure that goes along with the population increase. No new dams, infrastructure, roads, hospitals, and this is why people are feeling it. They've done the wrong thing, and why they're bringing them in also is these people who come in under Labor, who are they going to vote for? It's Labor. Of course they're going to vote for Labor. And the people they're bringing, where they're bringing them from. So I have a real problem with all this. Are we bringing in the right people into Australia? Are they compatible with our culture and our way of life? Will they, accept our laws? And there's a lot to be answered with all this. We haven't had a real debate about population in this country. Governments at the time just do it at their own whim. We have to have a debate about it.
It's a familiar topic, but that's been around for 20, 30 years and longer in this country. But you're right, we've got to thrash out those issues in an open and sensible way. Thanks for joining us again, Pauline. I appreciate it.